This change in voltage causes ions that don't belong in your cells to be forced into your cells, specifically calcium ions. What you get then is calcium ion poisoning in the cells of your body. Now, calcium, it's a mineral that you need in the proper amounts. Calcium is crucial for neurological function. Calcium is crucial for heart function. It's not just for your bones. Calcium is part of the mechanism of every cell functioning. Excuse me, it's part of the mechanism of cells moving water in and out. If you get too much calcium in your cells, then it becomes toxic. Just like if you get too much chloride in your cells, it's toxic. It's all about the right balance. But what 5G does is it changes the balance. It puts too much calcium in, and then you start getting poisoning. We are here on the Alex Jones Show, fourth hour, continuing. Thank you for joining me, Mike Adams. I've got big breaking news today. I know there's so much happening today. Owen Schroyer is live in D.C. covering the Roger Stone trial and the rigged jury, the rigged, broken system of justice that looks already predetermined to throw Roger in prison. Don't miss his show coming up. War Room at 1 hour from now, or 45 minutes from now, I should say. There's a lot breaking today. I've got breaking news for you today on a mechanism, a new bombshell study. Well, I should say we discovered this study recently. The study has been out for a little while, but this study explains the mechanism of why people are being driven insane by 5G networks and how 5G has been weaponized to literally cause neurological changes and cellular changes and causing psychiatric disorders across our population. Now, if you're wondering why are people going insane across our country, especially, have you noticed, it tends to be those who have two things in common. Number one, they live in cities where the 5G networks are being rolled out, so they have all of this exposure. But secondly, they avoid nutritional supplements because it turns out, and this is part of the big news here today, it's nutrition that blocks these toxic effects of 5G radiation and what it does to the human body. So remember these 2 points. If you live in a city where there's 5G, you can help defend yourself against those effects using nutrition and superfoods and supplements. And that's part of the reason why people who take good nutrition do not exhibit the same psychiatric disorders and the madness and even the Trump derangement syndrome that we're seeing now across leftists who live in cities and who reject nutrition. Now, the paper in question is by author Martin Pall. It's called Wi-Fi is an Important Threat to Human Health. It was published in the journal Environmental Research. This paper, which I've studied now in some detail, talks about the production of what are called peroxynitrites. Now, peroxynitrites are generated under the skin in the body upon exposure to Wi-Fi, 5G, and other EMF fields. And what happens with this, these peroxynitrites are toxic to various cells in your body, including neurological cells. And this toxicity is achieved in part through a process called, quote, voltage-gated ion channels. Now, I'm not going to get too geeky on you here, but I do want to explain this because I don't think this term has ever been discussed before on InfoWars or even Natural News. We haven't even written about this yet. I'm going to, but I haven't written about it yet. Here's the deal. You have ions in your body, electrolytes, right? So there are ions of potassium and ions of calcium, ions of chloride even, for example, that are in your body. And the movement of these ions in and out of your cell walls is absolutely crucial for you to maintain proper brain function, neurological function, proper cell hydration, the removal of cellular waste products from cellular physiology, and so on. Well, what happens is when you are exposed to voltage that comes to your skin out of the air, i.e. from 5G networks or Wi-Fi or mobile phones, but 5G is the worst because it is a directional beam that targets you specifically, and it has very high energy density in that narrow beam. It's kind of like a laser beam almost that focuses on you and your phone from you to the tower. It's like a little narrow, like a lighthouse with a light beam, except of course it's not visible light. But this creates voltage, literal voltage, electrical voltage in your skin. This change in voltage causes ions that don't belong in your cells to be forced into your cells, specifically calcium ions. What you get then is calcium ion poisoning in the cells of your body. Now, calcium, it's a mineral that you need in the proper amounts. Calcium is crucial for neurological function. Calcium is crucial for heart function. It's not just for your bones. Calcium is part of the mechanism of every cell functioning. Excuse me, it's part of the mechanism of cells moving water in and out. If you get too much calcium in your cells, then it becomes toxic. Just like if you get too much chloride in your cells, it's toxic. It's all about the right balance. But what 5G does is it changes the balance. It puts too much calcium in, and then you start getting poisoning. And what happens when you poison brain cells and you poison neurology with this voltage-gated ion channel, the channeling of calcium ions into your cells? You get mass mental illness. And this is what has come out in the paper. It lists at least 7 different things that happen to human beings. And one of them is, quote, neuropsychiatric effects. So neurological or neuropsychiatric effects is due to this voltage-gated calcium channel, and it's pushing calcium into the neurotransmitters in your nervous system. And as it says in the report, calcium regulates the synaptic structure and function of your neurology. And when that goes into imbalance, you get mass mental illness. That's exactly what happens. And so when you look at people who now live in the cities and you wonder, how is it that these radical leftists are totally insane and they hate Alex Jones selling nutritional products at InfoWarsStore.com? They say nutrition is bad. They won't take nutrition, but they're using their 5G devices. So what's happening to them? They're being poisoned through this voltage-regulated calcium channel. The calcium ions being pushed into their brain cells, but they don't have the protection of superfoods and supplements, excuse me, and nutrients that can help protect your body from these toxic effects. And so that's when they become mentally ill. But it's not just psychiatric effects that are involved in this. It's also infertility, elevated spontaneous abortions, and lowered libido. So this is another primary effect of 5G, which is the depopulation effect. And understand, I'm going to cover this too. You saw yesterday the big announcement from 11,000 scientists signing on to a paper that essentially argues that billions of humans need to be eliminated from our planet. How are they going to achieve that? Well, this Wi-Fi paper, this EMF paper that also applies to 5G, this explains the mechanism. The 5G network is a weapon system. It is a depopulation system. And in addition to driving you insane and causing psychiatric disorders, which leads to the mass psychiatric drugging of the population with antidepressants and so on, they're also causing spontaneous abortions, which is exactly what these climate scientists want to achieve. They say there are too many humans. They want to eliminate about 6 billion people, maybe a little bit more. Some of them think that they need to eliminate, 90+% of the human population. Well, how to do that? 5G networks, get everybody on psychiatric drugs, drive everybody insane, cause the collapse of society. And you notice what we're seeing in America today, the collapse of rationality, the collapse of reason, the collapse of law and order, due process. The court systems are rigged, and you can't even argue logic anymore. It's an attack on the very human mind, the ability to think, the ability to speak, the ability to even function as a human being with a functioning brain that isn't diseased. That is what's under attack, and they're doing it all through 5G. And the secret to defending yourself against this is nutrition. It is nutrition. And I'll talk about that after this break, how certain foods and superfoods and supplements can in fact stop this inflammatory or pro-oxidation, pro-inflammation effect throughout the body and protect all of your cells against the toxicity of EMF exposure. We'll talk about that when we return here on the Alex Jones Show.
Now it's easier than ever to have band.video on your iPhone. Simply go to band.video with your Safari browser. Then you click the share button at the bottom of the screen. When the menu comes up, you simply click Add to Home Screen. It will then ask you to name the app. I suggest band.video. You will now have band.video app on your home screen, despite the fact that Tim Cook tried to stop it. The globalists think you're lazy, but that by taking a little bit of action, you can override them, have the app, and then tell others about it so they can get the app. So it's up to you whether you want to defy big tech and click the share buttons below on your email, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, however you want. Be sure and share band.video. There's a reason we were deplatformed 14 months ago, and it's because InfoWars has been over the target with something like a 98% accuracy rate. We have laid out everything that's going on, and folks are really paying attention now. That means now is the time to support the InfoWar more than ever, and we're going to take this thing over the top together. Everything must go super sale, ladies and gentlemen. This sale on some items on the site is the biggest sale we've ever offered. 40 to 70% off, store-wide. Many of these are at cost or below because we're offering free shipping on every order and double Patriot points. Take advantage of the Everything Must Go sale, and the funds that come in allow us to fund ourselves into next year and order new product for next year at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com, and thank you for your support.